It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I have been busy over the last few weeks just tinkering around the cabin, trying to get as many projects done as I can, as usual. I know I say that probably in a lot of my videos, but I need to get some chores done as well. So I'm going to get a fire going so I can do dishes and laundry and things like that. In order to do that, I need to get some hot water going on top of the wood stove. If you're new to my channel, what you might not know about the way I live is that I try to live as minimally as I can in regards to modern conveniences. I have very few pieces of modern technology in my cabin. In fact, the only modern appliance that I have is a vacuum. So that I can vacuum the floors. But other than that, there is no washing machine here. There is not even indoor plumbing in my cabin. So I'm going to get this fire going, and then I'm going to slip into something a bit more comfortable and take you through my daily routine of getting some chores done the old-fashioned way. And I'm also going to show you some of the things that I've been working on around my cabin lately to add a little bit of innovation, if you will, into my existence here. So let me get this started and I'll get right back with you. Before I can even begin to do my chores, I need to go get water. Now you saw that I put some water in this tank that sits on top of my wood stove. This is a deep fryer. I believe it's 7-gallon, 36 quart. And I provided a link to this previously. However, it was the incorrect link. It was for a similar item. So the actual link to this particular unit is available in the description, which you can find below my videos. I'm not sponsored on this product here, but those of you that have been asking for it, I did locate it and put it there for you. And speaking of links, I actually have a link to a book that I picked up from a gentleman who lives in Southeast Alaska named James Marchini. And he's been in Alaska for the past 60 years. He actually started working on the pipeline. He did some crabbing also in Alaska. And he has written a book about his life here and some of the stories of things that he's experienced. It's a very well-written book. It has a lot of humor in it. And that's one thing about living in Alaska is that you have to be able to roll with the punches here. You have to be able to laugh at yourself and laugh at the things that are going on. Hence why I include so much humor in my videos. But I also have provided a link to where you could purchase this book, because I know there are a lot of you out there that like to collect books and read books about Alaska. And this is one that I highly recommend. It's called You Don't Have to Be Crazy to Be an Alaskan, but then again, you might want to try and fit in. So it just goes to show how humorous we all can be. And it also goes to show that the people that live in Alaska, you'll hear a lot of times people say this is a young person's game, and that you have to be young and fit in order to live here and live this lifestyle. Well, that is not necessarily true. A lot of the people that I have encountered in Alaska are much older than I am myself, and I am no spring chicken by any means. But they are a very fit and robust group of people that can put a lot of us younger people to shame. So anyhow, the link to this book is available in the description of my video as well, and it can be found on Amazon. So, but before I can even do my chores, I need to go get water. And one of the things that I need to do is I need to fill up that 55-gallon tank that is on the other side of my kitchen wall that I used for all my cleaning water. And you might be asking, why the rush to get everything done out today that I need to? Well, it's because there is a storm brewing.
A winter weather advisory is in effect from 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, with total snow accumulation up to 20 inches with possible threat.
Thank you, Alaska, but that's quite enough.
Well, excuse me. Just trying to help.
I'm sure by now everyone is familiar with home automation systems such as Alexa. Well, this is something I've been tinkering around with. I call it Alaska, and I have decided to add a little bit of innovation in and around the cabin. I'll show you some of that coming up here in a moment. But this, I think I might have created a monster.
The word monster comes from Latin monstrum, which means a portent, an abnormal or prodigious animal.
Okay, that's enough. Before he interrupts me again, I'm going to go fill up that 55-gallon barrel on the other side of this wall so that I can get some water out of this faucet that I have installed behind me here. So this is the 55-gallon barrel that I use for storing the water that is then plumbed out of that faucet on the other side of this wall that I talked about. But because this water does not get used as frequently as it should to prevent anything from growing in the water, such as algae or anything like that, I do put a cap full of chlorine bleach into this container. Only a cap full. And I do not use this water for anything other than cleaning. I don't use this water for drinking because the bleach in here, believe it or not, does not truly get filtered out through the carbon filters. Those carbon filters in the Berkey can filter out a lot of things, but bleach is one of those things where I feel like it's a trace amount, at least, of it stays in there, and bleach is not something I want to consume in any quantity, even though I know it's in city water. So that's a whole different subject, a whole different argument. But let's talk about also potable and non-potable water. As I mentioned, this having bleach in it and not going through a filter means that it would not be potable, meaning I could not use it for cleaning, I could not use it for my drinking water or anything like that. You might be wondering, how much water do I actually go through over the course of a winter? I have 11 of these 5-gallon water jugs and a couple others that are a little bit larger. So all told, in these water jugs, I can hold about 75 gallons of water. This holds 55 gallons itself. And then before I go to get water, I top off everything like I just showed you. The Berkey, the water vessel for washing my hands, and that vessel for cleaning water. But I also make sure that I've done all my chores and then retop everything else off. So I've done my dishes, I've done my laundry, I've taken a bath, things like that, so that when I'm bringing water into the cabin, I'm bringing in as much as I possibly can to stave off having to go get water again anytime soon. Now, I would say that between the, 90 some gallons of water in these totes and this 55-gallon, you figure that's what, 150 gallons essentially. That's basically my water usage. I'm very conservative with the amount of water that I'm using. I save my dishes and do my dishes all at once. I do my laundry as best as I can, try to do as much of it as possible at once so that I can conserve water again. And then when I take a bath, I'm only using about 5 gallons of water to take a bath. 3 of it that is hot off the stove, and 2 gallons to cool it down to a tepid temperature that's comfortable to sit in. Before I go get water, I want to show you some of the other innovations that I've been tinkering around with around the cabin. I showed previously how I put these latches in here on the hatch that leads down into the cellar. And previously there was a pulley system that I used to open this door. But that pulley system was kind of a pain to use. It took a lot more muscle than one would expect. But now I have installed some struts that will allow this door to open automatically. Every time it opens, all I can think is, that's pretty futuristic. So no more effort needed to open this hatch up. But let me show you something that I've been working on in the cellar as well. In a recent video, I showed building these shelves to hold all these storage totes, but I built an additional set of shelves on the other side. I didn't feel the need to show constructing a third set of shelves in the cabin, hence why I didn't show the construction of this. But this one, like I said, just holds a whole slew of random items that really I want out in the open. I didn't really want to put them in storage totes. Some of them are in bins, such as these magnets here and what have you. But this has helped me a lot in cleaning up the root cellar. So with cleaning up the root cellar, I have managed to create a mountain of cardboard boxes that I'll need to break down and get taken out of the cabin. I'll use some of this again in the garden this year, but most of it probably is not going to get used. Now you can see this bar going across the door leading from the outside into the root cellar. I have a bar like that up in the Arctic entry as well, which will be my future bathroom. And I put that up there to prevent anybody from busting their way through that door and making entry into the cabin. Eventually I'll be putting some of those same struts on the hatch that leads out of the cabin, so that I don't have to extend or expend so much energy in opening up that hatch, because that hatch door is really, really heavy. But I didn't want to necessarily install such a unsightly contraption, if you will, when it came to securing the doors on the main part of the cabin. So let me show you what I tinkered around with up there to make the cabin a little bit more secure as well. So as I mentioned, I did not want to install one of those bars across the front and the rear door of the cabin. So instead, what I've installed is this floor plate down here that then has this accompanying metal plate that just slides in and will secure the door, so that if somebody were to try to open it, they can't bust the door open and make entry into the cabin. So with that being said, let's take this off and go get some water. Where are you going? I should have brought my ice cleats, because this is incredibly slick and icy. Actually have to climb up in the car now. Some of the jugs have fallen over and spilled a little bit of water in the car. That's pretty typical. Not the end of the world. It will freeze in here overnight, which again, not the end of the world, but it'll also fog up the windows on the inside of the car. That is kind of a bigger deal. If it was summertime, I would just leave the windows open, let the car air out, if you will, but that's not happening this time of the year. Oh well, I've got 4 jugs left to take in, and then I'll show you some other things. Do you hear that? No, you don't. Because other than the exhaust fan of the oil burner, it's absolutely silent out here. Just listen. There are no birds chirping. There are no animals rustling in the woods. Soon, the only sound I'll hear is the snow falling. I love it. That peace and quiet, the solitude, is why I call this place home. Well, that and that view behind me. I absolutely love those mountains. And the peace and quiet. Just listen. It's amazing. Even my trash disposal is done the old-fashioned way. I burn the vast majority of my trash. It's not to say that I burn everything, but cardboard, paper, and untreated wood all gets burnt. Now I've been saving some things for the last week or so to burn, so I've got quite a bit here. But this burner actually used to be the wood stove in the cabin. When the cabin was originally built, this was in a cellar underneath the cabin. And when the previous owners put in a new wood stove, they brought this one out here to the outside of the property, and it is what I use to dispose of my household garbage. Like I said, only certain things get burnt though. So plastic, glass, tin cans, things like that, they all get taken to a transfer station about 100 or so miles away from here. This is probably one of the messiest jobs that I have. As you can see, I get coated in soot, but it's okay. It all washes. So it's actually illegal to burn anything that can create a black, noxious fumes. And so hence why I only burn the limited items that I do, and try to avoid plastics and things like that in the household, where possible. Before we do that, all right, I'm going to get this going and let's go get some firewood. So as you can see, I never got this pile of firewood completely stacked. I really haven't been burning that much. I think I'm about 2 cords or just slightly over 2 cords of wood burned this year. So a lot better than the last couple. But this firewood really is my lifeline. Not only does it provide me heat for my cabin, this is traditionally my primary source of heat, though I do have an oil burner as a backup. But it also, like I showed earlier, is how I heat my water, and for the most part, how I cook. Though I do use some butane burners as well. I do eventually plan on replacing my wood stove, though, and getting a traditional wood cook stove so that I can cook all of my meals inside with wood heat. Good indicator of how little wood I've actually burned is how little kindling I've actually burned. When I stacked up all this kindling, it was only as tall as this fence is beside me. As you can see, I have barely made a dent in it. So I guess it's been a really mild winter after all. the water here is hard water. It is not treated water. It's not been filtered. It literally comes from an underground aquifer, and then any minerals that are in that water come up with it. Because it's hard water though, it doesn't clean that great. So in order to soften the water up, I use a mixture of washing soda and borax that I then just add a little bit to my dishwater. Maybe a tablespoon and a half is what I'm putting in there. And then whatever dish soap that I might have on hand. Currently I'm using a little bit of Dawn, but you know, I've used Mrs. Meyer's and Palmolive and things like that. I use a bit more dish soap than I typically would if I was doing this with city water. Again, because hard water doesn't allow the saponification of soap to occur. It really does inhibit that process. So now that I have that in there, one of the other things that I do is add in about I don't know, half a cup or so of the vinegar, to my rinse water. And this is going to take off any residual soap residue or anything like that and make those glasses shiny and streak-free. So those two things alone are helping me when I'm using the well water to do dishes, which of course is all I have available to me here. So let me go ahead and get this started and get my dishes underway. Well, I have one last chore that I have to get done, and that would be my laundry. But I have a little bit more innovation to show you, and that would be my new laundry line. Before, I had this line strung out from the pantry door, leading around the staircase and then back over towards the window in the living room. But that's not exactly where I want to air even the cleanest of my laundry. So in here, it just makes the most sense considering the space above my freezers is dead space. I can't really do anything with this space right here because I have this large window here. And so I figured, why not make the most of this space considering that I moved my wash tubs into the pantry. They fit perfectly at the end of the pantry here. Let me move out of the way so you can actually see what I'm pointing to. They fit perfectly at the end of the pantry there. It's almost like it was made for that, though it really wasn't. And so why not make best use of this dead space above the freezers? Now I'll just lay out some heavy towels on here to catch any drips like I'm doing on the kitchen counters. I won't be doing that on the counter in the kitchen forever. It's just until I get enough coats of that tung oil on there to make it perfectly water proof. Then that's no longer needed. But in here, it will always be needed because, as we all know, water and electricity just don't mix. It's just really simple construction, though. Just a couple 2x4s and using 2x4s for additional bracing. And then I put some eye bolts through it and strung just some cotton clothesline through there. And I can tension this clothesline by tightening up the eye bolts. And if ever I run out of enough eye bolt length, I can always add a tensioner to this line. But right now, this seems to have enough tautness to it to where they're not drooping too far, which is working out great for me. But like I said, I need to get started with the laundry. Let's see if my little invention can help me with that. Hey, Alaska, can you turn on the washing machine?
Pardon, mademoiselle. Ido no understand your instruction.
I'm sorry, but when did you become a Frenchman? Because I thought I gave you a cowboy accent.
Ikambe aniti iuam tobe, oev, iam no magicien. What do you expect to do? Te machine do no avani powe. It is simply a bucket of water.
Oh, well, it was worth a try. I guess I'm going to do the laundry the old-fashioned way. I have a video on DIY laundry detergent if you're interested. I swear by it. And I don't have any soap in the detergent itself. I use a laundry soap bar, a laundry bar for the soap. But if you're going to use it in a, standard modern washing machine, then you'll want to add some soap or just add the washing detergent that I provide a recipe for with your own laundry detergent. Just add it as an additive. Some people use it as a laundry stripper because it'll strip out all the built up residues and fats and oils from your laundry. Your laundry will be a lot brighter, a lot whiter. It'll smell better. But you may have noticed earlier in my video that I was walking around in my socks. I walk around in my socks all the time. I rarely wear slippers. I try not to wear my shoes in the house. And I've been guilty of walking in my socks out in the yard too. But you can see that this is a white sock. And it's, a little dingy. But I'm still washing it. But it is a lot whiter, a lot brighter than if I were just to wash it in a standard washing machine. You can see maybe the difference there between the two. This one's not been scrubbed. This one's been scrubbed. So if you want the recipe, it'll be in the video linked at the end of this one. And then you'll know how I get my whites so white. And then after I wash everything here also, these will get rinsed twice. And in the last rinse, they will get some vinegar put in with them. And then I will have them ready to hang on the clothesline behind me. The laundry's hung, and like I said, There are just towels here to absorb any drips that might come, but that mangle really does get most of the water out of these. So I'm off to make myself a little bit of dinner. Join me in the kitchen. I'll show you what I'm making. To do as much cooking as possible on top of the wood stove. So tonight I made myself some pecan chicken. This was a favorite of my family's, my children's, when they were growing up. And so I made this, and I made some cheesy potatoes. These are just spiced potatoes that then get covered in melted cheese and diced green onions. And I'm going to sit down and enjoy myself a nice meal. But hey, Alaska, can you do me a favor and remind everybody to like and subscribe to the video?
Finally, a command that I can assist you with, little lady. I will remind everyone to hit the like button and subscribe.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm going to sit down and enjoy my dinner, and I'll catch you on the next one. Oh, and be sure to stick around for some outtakes, too. You know me. There's always plenty of laughs around here. And leftovers too. I ripped off one of his eyeballs. Before I go get water, I want to show you some of the innovations that I have put in recently into the cabinet. Now, I showed in a previous video about how I put these latches in along the floor here. Sure. They do work. Oh. Did you see that? Alaska fell apart already. Oh no. Oops. That wasn't supposed to happen. So, because of the fact that I don't have traditional flooring in here, it also means that that 5-second rule of something hitting the floor and feeling like it's still safe to consume, it does not apply here. Do you hear that? No, you don't. Other than that one noise.